Jesus came 2,000 years ago. What is it exactly that we're waiting for in Advent? So Advent is a time to celebrate, yes, his birthday that happened 2,000 years ago. Advent also places our heart and our mind in what Jesus himself said, right? That he would come again at the end of time. But there's also a Jesus that comes to us every day, not only on the 25th of December. He comes to us in the faces and the hearts of the poor, of our neighbors, of our family members, of our friends, of those in need, and sometimes even in our own face as we go and we seek him and he comes to seek us. One of the things that I do in my Advent journey is that I actually try to pray a little harder, right? To recognize the Christ that comes to us every day, comes to me every day. As a priest in particular, a deeper appreciation of the celebration of Mass and the Eucharist, and where he comes to me, to us, to the church every day in word and in sacrament. So those are special things that I focus in on Advent as a way of welcoming Christ every day into my life, into our life. This time before Christmas that we in the church call Advent has become very noisy, very, very noisy. It's noisy on the outside, but it's also noisy on the inside. As we begin to think about what we're going to get people and what we want people to get us and who we're going to gather with and who we don't want to gather with, all that, we're just noisy. It's just a noisy time. So I would suggest, what I try to do is step away from the noise. Spend some time in church, spend a time in a quiet place in your house, maybe your prayer space. Close your eyes and spend that mindful, prayerful moment talking to the Lord about the things that roam around in your heart, aside from all this noise. As a child, especially coming from a Latin background, we would gather for what we called Noche Buena, which is the good night, right? So our Christmas dinner was not actually on Christmas Day, though families would gather on Christmas Day, but the main meal of Christmas was actually the night before, followed by going to midnight Mass. And that, for me as a child, will always have special memory, right? I will always remember those days of walking to church after that meal and gathering and having that moment of expectation that something special was happening that night that was different than every other night. So every family has special Christmas traditions, right? So I would ask you all to single out, to think about what your particular family traditions are around Christmas. Define them, think of them, and make sure that you hand them on to your kids and that your kids hand them on to their kids, 20, 30 years from now. Above all, make sure that in those traditions, Christ lies at the center.